Through history, human beings had observed the nature and asked for answers. Human beings always seek sustainable solution by emulating nature. In biomimicry, you look back to the future and into natural development and use something that's right in front of you to improve our lives and create new technology for mankind. This basic idea to combine biology and engineering is to help humanity treat nature better and in more harmony.
The word biomimicry is composed of two words, one being bios, that means life, and the other being mimicry, that means to imitate. Biomimicry is to use nature as models, mentor, and measures.
This concept has been developed in many fields in life. For example, the bionic car that looked to the boxfish to build an aerodynamic body. And there was the study of birds, which enabled a human to gain the technology of flight, but also considering how to use nature's effective function, such as heating and cooling system and protecting natural light and ventilation. The idea of biomimicry is an ancient idea. If you look at the history of mankind, we can see that the human life is always related to nature, from the Stone Age to the recent days. For example, the initial civilization inspired the shape of their shelters from the nature, and they used materials from their external environment. The Industrial Revolution came with a fast wave of new materials, shapes and ideas. This made the architecture go far from mimicking the environment, and most of the buildings looked similar to each other. Organic architecture came as a revolution to make a difference, but nowadays we still have cities with no natural impact on them, and life became boring. Nowadays, people asking why all new buildings are so boring. People have the idea that in the past buildings came with ornament and decoration. Today they have been reduced to containers of space, boring and boxy. Somehow, so many of our choices today tend to settle with replicating what's already there rather than inventing what could happen next. If documentary is to document our world as it already is, fiction is to fantasize about how it could be. In that sense, architecture is the fiction of the real world. Architecture is the canvas for the story of our life. The city is never complete. It has a beginning, but it has no end. It's work in progress, always waiting for a new scene to be added, new characters to move in. Biomimetic architecture look to nature as a model, measure, and mentor. Nature as model is to imitate or take inspiration from natural design and process and apply it to the architecture. Nature as measure, meaning biomimicry uses an ecological standard to judge the efficiency of a human innovation. Nature as mentor, means the biomimicry does not try to exploit nature by extracting materials good from it, but natural value as something human can learn from. The golden ratio is a measurement we choose in architecture all the time. It can find all over the universe, from the construction of galaxies to the thread of the human DNA. It has been used by mankind for centuries in architecture. They use it to give building balance and height, create obscure shapes, and design beautiful layout. The ratio increases the chances that people will find the building aesthetically pleasing. It can be used to design buildings which are varied in terms of size, shape, and style, and yet so similar at their core. No matter what the building's eventual purpose is, the golden ratio was most likely used to determine its proportions. Biomimicry can work on three levels: the organism, its behavior, and the ecosystem. Buildings on the organism level mimic a specific organism. On a behavior level, buildings mimic how an organism behaves or relate to its larger context. On the level of the ecosystem, a building mimic the natural process and cycle of the greater environment. architecture looks to the organism itself, applying its form or function to a building. The Orca water harvesting technique system has inspired by several sources. Many plants have developed structure feature on their surface to collect water from the air.
Gergen Tower has hexagonal skin inspired by the Venuflora basket sponge. Its lattice-like exoskeleton and round shape help to spread stress on the organism. In the Eden project, the architects looked to nature to build an effective spherical shape. The resulting geodesic hexagonal bubbles, inflated with air, were constructed with a material that is both light and strong. Gardens by the Bay is natural park consists of 3 waterfront gardens, taking inspiration from the form of the orchid. Master plan is a rich fusion of nature, technology, and environmental management. Even in the early centuries, when they designed Eiffel Tower, they looked at the structure of bones in order to have a beautiful and strong structure.
Mimicking an organism alone without mimicking how it's able to participate in and contribute to the large context of the ecosystem has the potential to produce design that remain conventional.
Species of living organism level typically been evolving for millions of years. These organisms have the survival mechanisms that have withstood and adapted to constant changes over time.
Eastgate Center has cooling passive system inspired by the self-cooling mount of African termite.
The Bloom projects act as sun tracking instrument indexing time and temperature. The form responsive surface is made primarily out of 14,000 smart meter tiles, where no 2 pieces are alike. Each piece curls if the heat rises above 70 Fahrenheit. The Bloom project acts as a sun tracking instrument, indexing time and temperature. It's made out of sheet metal that curls when heated. The mimicking of ecosystem is an integral part of biomimicry. The term ecosystem used to describe the mimicking of ecosystem in design. It means a sustainable form of biomimicry where the objective is the well-being of ecosystems and people. The Sahara Forest Project is a greenhouse that aims to rely on solar energy alone to operate a zero-waste system. The project is on the ecosystem level because its many components work together in a cycle system. After finding that the desert used to be covered by forest, exploration decided to intervene at the forest and desert boundaries to reverse desertification. The project mimics the Nubalian desert beetles to combat climate changes in an arid environment. It draws upon the beetle's ability to self-regulate its body temperature by accumulating heat by day and to collect water droplets that form in its wings. Biomimicry can be a way to increase the sustainability of the human designs, materials, and environment. Although a lot of biomimetic material designs and technologies are not sustainable and it may not be designed to reach this approach. In order to reach a sustainable designs, mimicking an ecosystem should be incorporated in the early stages of the design and used as tool through the design process. Ecosystem mimicry could mean that an in-depth understanding of ecology derives from the design of a built environment that is able to participate in the major biochemical material cycles of the plant in a reinforcing rather than damaging way. Biological organisms are far more complex than any building that exists today, and it needs tools to fully understand those organisms. Parametric applications can be used to create bio-inspired forms easily and in a more effective way. Digital tools like programs could be used to provide a clear understanding of biomimetic forms and shapes. It allows the designer to understand the function of particular creature to inspire from them in the design process. For example, the silk pavilion have taken biological innovation a step further by using biomimetic construction process. 3D applications like Rhino help to create this idea. 3D printing and laser cutting are used to provide a physical yet functional models of the building. Also, it allows a full understanding of the building before it's built. It can help to create more sustainable living and more effective built environment, although these tools could be used in the wrong way and create harmful building to the environment. Digital applications can be used to create both virtual forms and physical structure using computer tools in modeling, programming, simulation, and imaging. These digital tools application could allow complex calculation in an easy way. Algorithm is an effective tool to create these kind of complex calculations.
The world is cracking under the weight of our technologies, appetite, and population growth. In the next few decades, the burden will only worsen as more and more individuals strive and thrive, and countless millions will seek to emulate the lifestyle that we have enjoyed from the last century. The effects of global climate change will disrupt and weaken our world economy and the health of many ecosystems. With increased population will come greater level of starvation, war and diseases than we have experienced for quite some time. Clean water and healthy topsoil in particular will become precious to many. Although a change can be occurred if we work on it from now, if we move toward more sustainable design, minimize the waste and the harm on the environment, the future of humanity will change. However, there will be some crises that will occur and the world will be changed. People also will try to find a new way to adapt these changes.
One of these crises is the lack of materials. To solve these problems, architects could use a self-built material like biological brick that can adapt to the change that happened to it. Also, 3D printing with animals could be another way to create an effective and sustainable designs. Nature responds to change over time, regenerates, maintains self-sufficient systems, and through it all creates beauty. In other words, we have an infinite amount of knowledge to gain from the nature around us. The future of urban planning could be forever changed. Urban areas behave a lot like complex natural systems. They have interconnected components. The difference is natural interconnected parts exist harmoniously with one another. By observing how each puzzle piece in nature fits to the larger system, designers can get an idea of what is or isn't necessarily in city development. Biomimetic architecture will revolutionize the architecture world in every way, either the way architects think or how they inspire their ideas. This adaptation of technology has peaked in the second half of the 20th century, with the discovery of new conventions of different materials has led to an emerging new style and pattern of thinking that has revelated the traditional way of thinking in architecture. Designs can emphasize way of thinking and designing that bring architecture and industrial design into a process of environmental and biological designs that focus on more responsive and safer buildings.
The environment is facing a lot of problems that could change the life of a human in the next generation. With the increasing number of people, global warming, and many more, it could cause many crises and lack of resource. Many of these problems could be solved by architecture. The built environment have the responsibility of solving global environmental and social problems. Now it's really clear that a change must be occur in the built environment. The architect should look at nature and see how it works and behave in order to create more sustainable design that doesn't harm the environment but try to solve its problem in a beneficial way. Nature continues to surprise us in a way we could never have expected. Nature is much more imaginative than the human imagination is, and in order to make progress, we keep having to question nature, explore it. because it will lead these surprises that will change not just our picture of ourselves, but the way we carry out our life.